consult with leaders on a roadmap for leaving the EU.
John Kerry's coming to London on the first working day after the UK's earthquake referendum. He was only meant to be going to Rome on Sunday, but he's here in London today and Brussels before that in a frantic damage limitation exercise. Kerry's message is clear, that Britain and the EU should manage their divorce like grown-ups. But it's unclear who he'll be addressing, as the Prime Minister David Cameron has announced he's stepping down.
I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
At a time of rampant Euroscepticism, Kerry will want to try and put others off leaving the bloc. But his boss, the President Barack Obama, already had a go at doing that ahead of the Brexit vote.
If right now I've got access to a massive market, and now I'm thinking about leaving the organization that gives me access to that market, that's not something I'd probably do.
We all saw how that US intervention went, but Britain is reeling right now. Financial markets are in turmoil, the pound has plummeted, and the country faces a new uncertain reality where no one knows what's next or when.
There is no reason for hysteria on the one side or paralyzed shock on the other side.
We now expect the United Kingdom government to give effect to this decision of the British people as soon as possible.
So Kerry's in Brussels right now, where EU leaders are holding an extraordinary meeting to thrash out what to do with what's being called a catastrophe. With fears of a Brexit domino effect, the EU bloc members will be in crisis management mode for months to come, meaning that America's worries are likely to be the last thing on their minds.
Spain has once again been plunged into political uncertainty after a déjà vu election on Sunday failed to produce a clear winner for the second time in half a year. The Conservative Popular Party came out on top, but just as in December, it fell short of the majority needed to form a government. Now, the much-anticipated breakthrough for the leftist Podemos Union hasn't taken place either, with the Populist Party finishing only third.
I have to say that we're not satisfied with these election results. We had different expectations. We're worried by the lack of support for this progressive union.
Voters in Spain appear disillusioned with all parties, as only around half of those registered to vote are thought to have even cast their ballot. That is a dramatic slide from last year's turnout of 73%. So we asked some voters why they think this happened.
I think the outcome of today's election is the result of almost 20 million Spanish people deciding to stay at home instead of voting. That's because so many people feel disappointed with our politics. Nothing has changed since the election in 2015. We still have the same 4 candidates to vote for.
I think that the numbers we're seeing are the result of some people doubting the efficiency of the vote, while others are simply tired of this period of pacts and unions established between Spain's political parties. There is no united political force to rule the country, and the people are tired of that. And at some point, in my opinion, this public frustration will benefit the People's Party.
The low turnout has definitely affected the result of today's election. It's the peak of summer, the time when many people leave to go on vacation. That's why so many people didn't show up at the polls. The people who could bring the country together under one ruling party just didn't take part.
Spain now faces another round of talks over forming a coalition government. Months of negotiations following the vote in December brought no result. Spanish economist Felix Moreno de la Cova says the new election has failed to change the balance of power.
No party will be able to rule on its own. There will still need to be pacts, and the coalitions that are to be negotiated are still the same ones as the previous election. The actual political situation has not changed much at all. I do think the attitude of the leaders might have changed because a third election would be seen as a complete disaster by almost anyone in the political space. But yeah, they're going to have to sit down and talk.
Is RT International. The FBI is accused of intimidating political activists ahead of Donald Trump's Republican National Convention. That and more after the break.